in 2010, Joe Early's husband, Gavin Gibbs, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for what the judge at the time described as an appalling act of violence against their 3-month-old son, Charlie.
He was cleared of murder but was charged with grievous bodily harm and spent 11 months in jail.
But for the last 18 years, Gavin's been entitled to maintain contact with baby Charlie's twin sister, Abby, who's received cards and letters from her dad throughout the years.
But now Abby is speaking out for the first time and, alongside her mum, Jo, wants to see the law changed so parents who seriously harm a child automatically lose their parental responsibility. And they join us now. First of all, Jo, I can't even believe you're campaigning for this. You'd think that it would be like this anyway. But just so we can get some meat to the bones of this story, can you take us back to when you were with Gavin? So you met each other in 2001.
That's right, yeah. We both worked for the ambulance service.
And he was a paramedic and you worked in the control room.
That's right, yeah.
And then in 2008, you got pregnant with twins.
That's right, yeah.
And can you talk to us about what life was like back then?
Well, everything was what I would call normal, really. We had a good life. We both worked hard. Got married in 2005, went on a lovely honeymoon. And even saying that makes me feel sick, actually, looking back. But, you know, everything was fine. And I got pregnant with the twins in 2008, and I just could not believe it when that scan came back and it was twins, and it was a girl and a boy. And I just was so over the moon. I thought, God, that our family's complete. We've got twins and a girl and a boy, and I was just ecstatic about that. It was just such a happy time, you know. Yeah. And when they were born, you know, you just looked at their little faces and just couldn't believe I produced two beautiful babies.
Yeah, and that sort of seeing twins, because I was the same with a boy and a girl, and it's such a wonderful experience, and the babies are born. But when did you? Before what happened, did you notice anything building up to that? Any differences in his behaviour?
Not really. The only thing that I experienced was he, before the twins were born, it was quite a while before they were born, he had a series of really traumatic jobs, and that seemed to kind of change him a bit, and he got some help, and so I thought everything was fine after that. He just seemed a bit depressed, and kind of his mood was different. And that was work-related, so I didn't really think anything of it after that. So there wasn't any kind of signs or anything that I would think, gosh, this is going to happen in my life at all. So
Abby and Charlie were about 3 months old, were they, when the incident happened? Yeah. Can you talk us through what actually happened that day?
So, yeah, it's still really hard to talk about, even 18 years down the line, but it's fine. It's an important, you know, thing to talk about. This particular night, I was already in hospital with Abby because Abby had bronchiolitis, which was common for babies at that time of year. And I wanted Charlie with me, so I asked the hospital staff if I could have Charlie with me in the hospital, and they said no, because Abby might be contagious. So he had to stay home with his dad. And I just remember sleeping next to Abby's cot in the hospital one night. I was just about to go to sleep, and the nurse said, "There's a call for you." And I went to the nurse's station and I picked up the phone, and it was his crewmate to say, "We've got Charlie in the ambulance. We're bringing him in. He stopped breathing, but we're bringing him in." And at that point, the room turned upside down. I was like, said something to the nurse, "I've got to get downstairs." Tried to look for a lift, and you know, when you're so traumatised, you can't even press a button for the lift, and someone had to help me. Yeah. So I got downstairs and I saw Charlie lying there, and the doctors were working on him, and my legs just collapsed and I was put into a wheelchair. I was so traumatised by what I'd seen. My legs just went from me, so...
And when did you learn, because obviously what you were going through at the time was horrendous, but when did you learn about the reason he was there? So
we was transferred to King's, and then the tone of the conversation with the medical staff at King's seemed to turn, like, they sort of said, "Well, what's happened here? What, you know, has somebody dropped him?" There were these questions, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was just like, this is just like something out of a terrible horror movie. I was like, you know, so they started to ask questions. And he was at King's on life support, and then we had to... You know, they said that he wasn't going to survive, and he didn't make it, so he turned off his life support 2 days later.
I'm so sorry, Jo. I'm so sorry. And what was Gavin's reaction like when he was there? Because I presume he was there.
Yeah. it's hard to kind of remember everything, but I remember when the hospital staff started questioning him, he just kind of went, oh, I can't say the word, and then he just walked out. So I was like, well, he must be in shock as well. I just didn't connect the two things.
Yeah.
And for ages, I just thought, God, this is just not right. And then the police started coming and interviewing us, and I was like, you've got this all wrong. This has to be a medical problem. There's no way I would think in a million years that the man I married was capable of hurting my own child. Absolutely not.
Yeah. And being a paramedic as well.
Yeah. I mean, I supported him for over a year, researching medical problems. I even rang experts around the world who were involved in baby cases saying, what could this be? I was like literally thinking this was going to be a miscarriage of justice. I was researching other miscarriages of justice, just looking at this from a medical point of view, because I just couldn't believe it.
And Abby, obviously you were a baby yourself when this was happening.
Yeah.
As you got older, what age was it when your dad first contacted you? And were you you're a child, you're getting on with what children do day in, day out. When were you aware of what had happened? When did your mum tell you about it?
So my mum went to a psychologist and she asked what was the correct way to tell me. So from about 4 years old, she told me bits and pieces, and as the years went on, she started to tell me more and more. My first understanding was when I was about 10 or 11. And from then on, it has completely... it's turned who I am sort of inside out. It's not an easy thing to live with, definitely.
Coming on here, though, Abby, and talking about it, and your mum getting this law changed is really important. So you're doing a fantastic thing out of something that is heartbreaking and horrendous.
Yeah.
You've come out the other side in it, and you're doing something really positive. So good on you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely. I think if we do this, if we do this, it's going to change someone's life, and that's all we're hoping for.
Yes.
And Joe, Gavin was cleared of murder.
Yes.
And he was charged with grievous bodily harm.
Yeah.
And have you always been very honest with Abby about everything what happened?
Yeah, so at the age of 16, Abby asked to see the court documents, which I've got at home. So she read them. So it is about being honest, because I got expert advice, and that's what came back as honest, age-appropriate information for the child's level of understanding. And when you look at our campaign, it's really unfair for a young child to have contact with a perpetrator parent. I mean, just the level of trauma and trying to process that as a young child, I just think it's too much.
It is enough. It would traumatise an adult, let alone a young child.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It would do damage to anybody.
And you were obviously, you had mixed emotions, because before your mum had told you everything what had happened, and and quite rightly doing it in the correct way, you were receiving birthday cards off your dad, and he was even sort of putting a smell of his aftershave in there.
Yes, that is correct. His aftershave, I would open the cards, and I will never forget the smell. Never. I've blocked a lot of things out from my childhood, so I don't remember. Apparently, he sent me a teddy bear. I don't remember that. I don't remember any presents being sent, just cards. So I've blocked a lot of it out, but all I remember is the smell of the aftershave as soon as I'd open the card.
And do you call him Dad, Abby? Do you call him Dad? Does he feel like your dad? How do you feel towards him? Are you angry with him, or...?
Yes, I am very, very angry with him. I want nothing to do with him. As I'm sure you would understand.
Yeah.
Growing up, I felt like I had a dad, but I didn't. It constantly bounced between do I have a dad? Do I not? It was so confusing, because all my friends at school had a dad who loved them and would pick them up after school every day and drop them off and things like that, and I didn't have that. I mean, as great as you were, I didn't have that. So. It was confusing.
And knowing he still had that, parental responsibility, he could have gone to the school, he could have picked you up, he still had the rights to do all that.
So what happened was, a really decent social worker said to me in the family courts, this all happens in the family courts, she said, go and ask if he'll give up his PR, because if you don't, your life will be very difficult for the next 18 years, because the perpetrator parents have power and control and manipulation and use the PR their PR to do that. But what happened was he did say he would give it up, but he swapped it for a list of other things that I had to do. Like, I called them trophy items, like he wanted photos of Abby, be able to write to her every 6 months, send cards and presents. He wanted to be notified in a medical emergency, access to Charlie's grave, all these school reports. So, in effect, it was like, what was, you know, I was torn between if he wouldn't give up his parental rights, if he couldn't have the trophy items, so it was either the trophy items or parental rights. I should never have been put in that position.
Never.
The court should have just taken away PR automatically, and let Abby decide when she was 18 whether or not she wanted contact with him, because it's just too traumatising for children to still be allowed this one-way access or contact with the perpetrator parent. And
this is why you're fighting for Charlie's Law.
Charlie's Law is to suspend parental responsibility for a parent who seriously harms or kills their own child. And I also feel that it should come under a bigger piece of legislation called the Parental Responsibility Act, because there are other cases out there when parents will hear this and think, I don't have exactly the same case, but I have been through a scenario, and that's not fair on me either. So for other parents, there should be this act.
Jo, thank you for fighting for this. It's unbelievable that you are fighting for this in the first place. And Abby, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I'm just going to have we've got a right of reply here from the Ministry of Justice, and they said, what happened to Charlie was truly abhorrent, and as a government, we're committed to ensuring that parental responsibility cannot be misused by perpetrators. Judges already have the power to restrict parental responsibility where doing so is the best interest of the child. And we are now going further by reviewing the law on parental responsibility in its entirety. So there you go, that's a right of reply. But thank you for fighting for this, and we hope Charlie's Law gets in there as quick as possible. And I'm so sorry what you've been through. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. Fantastic daughter, by the way. Amazing. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you very much.